If two people are truly meant to be together, there is one pattern that never fails. It does not matter how different their lives are or how unexpected the meeting feels. This one thing always shows up first. Most people believe destiny looks soft and beautiful from the start. They think it arrives as instant comfort, easy love, and a feeling that everything has finally fallen into place. They imagine two people meeting, smiling, and knowing right away that this is it. But real destiny does not work like that. Real destiny enters quietly and then shakes everything. It does not bring peace at first. It brings disruption. When two people are genuinely meant for each other, the universe does not rush them into being together. Instead, it creates distance. It pulls them apart, challenges their beliefs, and forces them to face themselves. It breaks illusions they did not even know they were living in. And this is not cruelty. This is preparation. If you believe two people can be truly destined, hit like right now. Because before two destined people can truly come together, they must first be changed. If two people are truly meant to be together, there is one thing that almost always takes place. Many people believe destiny looks like instant joy. They imagine two people meeting, everything falling into place, and life suddenly becoming simple and smooth. But real destiny does not arrive in such a gentle way. Real destiny usually enters your life by disturbing it first. When two people are genuinely meant for each other, the universe does not hurry them into love. Instead, it often pulls them apart. It breaks their false beliefs, challenges their expectations, and reshapes them as individuals. This pattern repeats again and again, and that is the one thing that always happens. People often misunderstand what destined love really is. They think it should feel comfortable from the start, like a safe place where nothing hurts. But destined love rarely begins with comfort. It begins with recognition. The first sign of a deep, meaningful connection is not peace. It is recognition. You meet someone and something inside you responds before your mind has time to understand what is happening. You may not feel calm. You may not feel secure. You may not even feel sure about them. Yet you feel seen in a way that unsettles you. It feels like they notice parts of you that you usually keep hidden, even from yourself. This can feel confusing because most people expect love to feel soothing and reassuring. But destiny often feels uncomfortable at first. This discomfort does not mean the person is wrong for you. It usually means the opposite. It means they reflect parts of you that you have been avoiding. They mirror your fears, your wounds, and your unfinished emotional work. They do not see only the version of you that you show to the world. They see deeper layers, and that can feel threatening. That is why destined connections often feel intense instead of easy. They bring awareness before they bring closeness. This is also why people who are meant to end up together rarely stay together at the beginning. If two people are truly destined to share a future, life almost always separates them early on. This separation is not accidental. It happens for specific reasons. One person may still be carrying old emotional pain. One may be afraid to open up and be vulnerable. One may not yet understand their own worth. One may love from a place of fear instead of completeness. Sometimes both people are still unfinished, and unfinished people, even with good intentions, can hurt each other deeply. So destiny steps in and creates distance. It says, "Not yet." It knows that if these two people came together too soon, they would damage what could become something meaningful. The separation, as painful as it feels, is part of the design. It is not punishment. It is preparation. When destined people are separated, the pain feels different from ordinary heartbreak. It is not only sadness, it is confusion. It feels like losing direction. You do not just miss the other person. You feel as if something inside you is missing. This happens because destined connections are not tied to the ego. They are connected to growth. When such a person leaves your life, it forces you to look inward. It pushes you to face things you have been avoiding for a long time. Comment destined if you have ever felt a connection that would not leave you alone. You begin to notice your fear of being abandoned. You see how much you seek validation from others. You recognize your habit of giving too much of yourself to keep people close. You become aware of how you avoid taking responsibility for your emotional needs. These realizations are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. The pain you feel is not meant to break you. It is meant to awaken you. Destined love has a way of changing you quietly. Even when there is no communication, even when there is silence, something shifts inside you. Even when logic tells you to move on, even when there is no contact at all, you begin to change. You become more aware of yourself. You become more careful about who you allow into your life. You start being more honest about your feelings and your boundaries. Things you once accepted no longer feel right. Situations you used to tolerate now feel draining. People you once chased no longer hold the same appeal. You begin to desire depth instead of surface attention. You crave real connection instead of temporary comfort. Often, you do not even realize that this growth is connected to that one person. But the change began the moment they entered your life. They acted as a trigger. They started a process within you. This kind of connection does not create obsession. It creates reflection. You do not lose yourself thinking about them all the time. Instead, you start thinking about your life, your patterns, and your choices. You reflect on who you are and who you are becoming. You start asking yourself deeper questions. Why do I love the way I do? Why do I fear closeness? Why do I settle for less than I deserve? These questions slowly reshape you. Destined connections work in ways that are not obvious on the surface. They may disappear from your daily life, but their impact remains. They change how you see relationships. They change how you see yourself. They raise your standards not just for others, but for your own behavior and self-respect. They teach you that love is not just about being together. It is also about becoming whole on your own. Over time, you may notice that you are no longer willing to repeat old cycles. You stop chasing people who cannot meet you emotionally. You stop ignoring red flags just to feel chosen. You start valuing peace, honesty, and mutual effort. This growth feels natural, even though it was born from pain. And that is how you know the connection was meaningful. Destined love is not loud. It does not always stay. Sometimes it comes, changes you, and leaves. Sometimes it leaves so that you can become the version of yourself that could one day sustain real love. Whether the person returns or not is not always the point. The purpose was the transformation, the awakening, the redirection toward a deeper, more conscious way of living and loving. When two people are truly meant for each other, their story does not follow a straight line. It moves through distance, confusion, and inner work. It forces growth before union. And that pattern, again and again, is the one thing that always happens. You think about them during moments when you are becoming more aware of yourself, during times when you are changing quietly from the inside, during nights when everything around you feels still and your thoughts become louder than the world. You think of them during emotional breakthroughs that arrive without warning, moments when you suddenly understand something about yourself that you did not see before. You are not thinking of them because you are lonely. You are not thinking of them because you need attention or validation. You think of them because something deep within you understands that the connection carried meaning, and that meaning has not fully settled yet. Your soul recognizes unfinished lessons. It recognizes that something important was activated through that connection. This is not weakness. This is not obsession. This is not attachment in the way people often describe it. This is integration. It is your inner world trying to place an experience where it belongs, trying to absorb what it taught you, and trying to understand how it changed you. A destined connection does not disappear simply because time passes. It stays present in quiet ways. It shows up when you grow. It shows up when you heal. It shows up when you outgrow old versions of yourself. That is because the connection was never just about romance. It was about transformation. Type yes if you want me to reveal the hidden truth about destined love. Many people ask why a connection like this cannot be replaced. They try to replace it. They meet someone new. They enter new relationships. They distract themselves with conversations, activities, and routines. They convince themselves that moving on means forgetting. Sometimes they even believe they have succeeded. Life looks normal again. They laugh. They socialize. They move forward. But beneath the surface, something feels incomplete. There is a subtle emptiness that does not go away, not because the new person is unkind, not because the relationship lacks effort. It exists because the new connection does not awaken the same depth. It does not challenge the same parts of the soul. A destined connection does not compete with others. It exists on a different level entirely. This type of connection is not built on attraction alone. It is not about excitement or chemistry. It is not about comfort or familiarity. It is about evolution. It is about becoming more honest with yourself. It is about being forced to face parts of yourself you may have ignored for years. Destiny works on both people separately before it ever brings them together again. Distance is not a punishment. It is a classroom. While the two of you are apart, life is shaping you in different ways, often through discomfort. One person begins to learn boundaries. They learn how to say no without guilt. They learn how to stop giving more than they receive. They learn that love does not require self-sacrifice. They learn that choosing themselves is not selfish. It is necessary. The other person begins to learn accountability. They learn that silence can hurt. They learn that avoiding emotions does not erase them. They learn that actions have consequences even when intentions were unclear. They learn that connection requires responsibility. One person learns self-respect. They stop accepting uncertainty as proof of love. They stop waiting for clarity that never arrives. They realize that consistency matters. The other learns emotional courage. They learn how to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. They learn how to face vulnerability instead of escaping it. One person learns how to stop chasing. They recognize that love cannot be forced. They understand that chasing someone who is not ready only creates imbalance and pain. The other learns how to stop running. They realize that distance does not protect them from loss. It only delays growth. Both people are changing, but neither can see the full picture yet. This is intentional. If they saw everything too soon, growth would stop. The unknown creates space for transformation. Comment separated if destiny ever pulled you apart from someone you felt was the one. Before destined people can reunite, illusions must fall. The universe removes false beliefs slowly, often painfully. Beliefs like love should never be hard. Beliefs like if someone truly cared, they would always stay. Beliefs like love must be earned through suffering. Beliefs like another person is meant to complete you. These ideas feel comforting, but they damage real love. They create dependence. They create fear. They create expectations that no human can fulfill. So life strips them away. This stripping does not happen gently. It happens through silence, through distance, through disappointment, through moments when you are forced to sit alone with your thoughts. You begin to see yourself clearly. You begin to recognize patterns. You begin to understand where you abandoned yourself in the past. You learn that love is not meant to save you. You learn that another person cannot fill the spaces you have not healed. You learn that real connection begins with wholeness, not emptiness. Share this video if you are going through a separation that feels spiritual. There comes a moment when something shifts inside you. You stop needing them. You stop checking for signs. You stop waiting for a message to change your life. You stop hoping that they will return so you can finally feel complete. And that moment is not bitter. It is peaceful. This is where destiny starts moving again. Not because you tried harder, but because you let go of needing an outcome. Real love is not dependence. It is choice. When both people can stand alone, when love becomes a desire instead of a survival tool, alignment begins. If they return different. They return more aware. They return capable of something deeper than before. And if they do not return, the lesson still remains. You are no longer the same person who entered the connection. You are stronger, clearer, more grounded. You have integrated what was meant to be learned. That is the truth of destined connections. They are not about possession. They are about transformation. They come into your life not to stay forever in the same form, but to awaken you, change you, and guide you toward a deeper understanding of love, self-respect, and inner growth. When people who are meant for each other come back into each other's lives, something feels quietly different. It is not loud or dramatic. It does not demand attention. Instead, it feels steady. Your body relaxes before your mind even understands why. There is less tension in your thoughts, less fear about what might go wrong, and far less ego trying to prove something. You are no longer performing or protecting yourself the way you once did. What shows up instead is honesty. The kind that feels natural and unforced, the kind that does not need explanations or defenses. The connection feels calmer because both people have already faced chaos on their own. It feels deeper because they have looked inward and seen their own shadows. It feels clearer because illusions have already been broken. It is not perfect, and it never pretends to be perfect, but it is aware. There is consciousness in how words are chosen, how silence is respected, how boundaries are honored. There are no games being played, no hidden intentions, no need to test each other's feelings. There is no confusion about where you stand. There is simply recognition, like meeting a familiar truth again, only this time with maturity and strength behind it. And sometimes, even with all of this, those people do not return to each other. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, yet the destiny between them was still real. The connection was not imagined. It was not a mistake. It was not wasted time. Not all destined connections are meant to last forever. Some are meant to exist only long enough to change you. Some are meant to enter your life, shake your inner world, and then leave once their purpose is complete. Type growth, if this message is awakening something deep inside you. There are connections that come into your life to break cycles that have been passed down through generations. These are the relationships that expose patterns you learned long before you had a choice. They reveal where love was confused with sacrifice, where attachment was confused with safety, where silence was confused with peace. These connections force you to see what you have been carrying that was never truly yours. They bring buried pain to the surface so it can finally be healed instead of repeated. Other connections come to teach you self-love when you have been neglecting yourself. They mirror back how you allow yourself to be treated. Through them, you see where you settle, where you shrink, and where you abandon your own needs just to keep someone close. They awaken you to the truth that love should not cost you your dignity, your voice, or your sense of self. These lessons are painful, but they are necessary. Without them, you might have continued giving too much and asking for too little. Some destined people awaken emotional depth within you. They make you feel things you had numbed yourself to. They remind you that you are capable of deep care, vulnerability, and connection. Even if they leave you more open than before. Others redirect your entire life path. Meeting them changes the choices you make, the standards you set, and the direction you move in. They do not stay because their role was never to remain. Their role was to prepare you for what comes next. That does not make these connections meaningless. It makes them sacred. Sacred things are not always permanent. They are important because of what they awaken inside you, not because of how long they last. Many people wonder why destiny feels so harsh before it ever feels gentle. Why it seems to take things away instead of giving. The truth is that destiny does not exist to protect comfort. Comfort keeps you stuck in familiar patterns even when those patterns hurt you. Destiny exists to protect your potential. Recognize if you have ever felt that instant soul recognition with someone. It will allow your heart to break before it allows your soul to slowly disappear. It will remove people from your life before it allows you to lose yourself trying to keep them. In the moment. This feels cruel. You replay every detail. You question your worth. You wonder what you could have done differently. You feel abandoned by something you trusted. But time slowly reveals what pain could not explain. With distance, you begin to see how staying would have kept you trapped in an older version of yourself. You begin to understand that leaving forced growth you were avoiding. There is one truth that appears again and again in destined connections. When two people are truly meant to be together, they are often forced to grow separately first. They are separated so illusions can fall away. They are stripped of fantasies about love, about each other, and about themselves. They are confronted with their wounds, their fears, their unhealthy habits, and the ways they avoid responsibility for their own healing. This period is not punishment, it is preparation. It is not a punishment for your past choices, your mistakes, or the ways you may have loved too much or too little. It is a sacred interval, a space carved out by life itself, where the universe gently reshapes you. During this time, each person is being refined like gold in a crucible into a healthier, more authentic version of themselves, the person they were always meant to be. Here you learn lessons that cannot be rushed or borrowed. You learn boundaries, not as walls to keep people out, but as signposts that protect your energy and honor your worth. You learn self-respect, which does not depend on validation from others, but emerges from a quiet understanding of who you are at your core. You learn how to love deeply, passionately, and genuinely without losing your own identity in the process. You learn that being chosen by someone else is meaningless if you have not first chosen yourself, and that your sense of wholeness cannot come from someone else's acceptance. It must rise from within. Only after this inner work begins does destiny start to reveal what comes next. Sometimes that path leads back to reunion, where two people meet again with hearts cleared of illusions, with foundations stronger than before. Sometimes it leads to redirection, guiding each person towards someone or something else that fits more harmoniously with their growth. Either way, no one emerges unchanged. Something essential shifts inside, subtle at first but profound over time. The person you were at the start of this journey will never exist in quite the same way again. If you're reading this and thinking of someone, let these words settle in your heart like quiet rain. You do not need to chase, to force, or to prove anything. true destiny never exhausts. It never demands that you shrink yourself, compromise your integrity, or live in constant anxiety. What is truly meant for you does not arrive with confusion or fear. It will feel safe, natural, and right, even in its simplicity. It will never make you question your value or your worth. It will not ask you to silence yourself, nor will it expect you to accept less than what you deserve. It will ask only for growth, honesty, and courage, the kind that comes from meeting yourself fully, even when it is uncomfortable. And if that person does not return, do not see it as failure. Do not let your heart measure worth in permanence or presence alone. The connection was never a test of permanence. It was a teacher. It served its purpose in shaping you, guiding you, and strengthening you for what comes next. It prepared you to recognize love, not in its illusion, but in its truth. Destined connections are never about possession, certainty, or guarantees. They are about transformation. They arrive at the exact moment you are ready, or exactly when you need to be made ready. They disrupt your comfort to illuminate your blind spots. They challenge your old beliefs to allow room for healthier, truer ones. They may leave pain in their wake, but they also leave clarity, insight, and an unshakable understanding that every moment had meaning. Nothing is wasted. No tear, no longing, no heartbreak, no disappointment is meaningless. What feels like loss often reveals alignment. What feels like rejection often guides you toward a truer path. What feels like an ending is often the doorway to a deeper, more enduring relationship with yourself. Destiny does not hurry. It does not rush to explain, and it does not bow to your impatience. It asks for patience when you crave answers. It asks for trust when uncertainty weighs heavy on your shoulders. And in retrospect, you will see how patiently, relentlessly, it guided you all along, even through moments that hurt the most. Like this video, comment which part hit you the hardest, and subscribe for more on destined love and inner growth.